Just joining them on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for the 17th Manga Jiman Award Ceremony. Well, we are very excited to celebrate our entrants' great achievements. We are also broadcasting tonight online, so we have Mark here. And if you are seeing us on YouTube, thank you for joining us. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who is here with us at the embassy, and I hope you will enjoy this event. Before we begin, please be reminded to not take any photographs while you are here at the embassy. And please also switch off your mobile devices. And now, to mark the opening, please join me in welcoming Minister Yasuyuki Okazaki.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Just thank you very much for joining the 17th Manga Jiman Competition Award Ceremony. Well, I would like to first express my sincere appreciation for the all supporter supporting this event for 17 years. 17 years, that's a big achievement. Thank you. I would like to thank you, all correct judges, and of course, all the sponsors and the entrants, and not only being here today, I would like to express the heartfelt welcome and appreciation for the all manga fans in UK and Europe and all over the world. Well, before starting the awarding ceremony today, I have to mention to the late Grandmaster of Mangaka, the manga artist of Japan, Mr. Toriyama Akira Toriyama. Well, my generation, who had a childhood in 80s and 90s, well, it's really the generation, those who really enjoyed and entertained by his works, such as Dr. Slump, Dragon Ball, and not manga, but Dragon Quest game also. So our generation's childhood cannot be told without mentioning to the Toriyama Akira's achievement. So if I had not three but seven balls, well, I might have asked the Shenron to bring him back. But after his long devotion to entertaining the world, we shouldn't disturb his peacefulness anymore. So today, I would like to pay my greatest tribute to his achievement, dedication, and contribution to our child life and the kind of the peaceful friendship world. So this is the context. I should invite you to the kind of the moment of silence, but probably Mr. Toriyama wouldn't like to have a dismal atmosphere. So I would like you to join me giving a big applause, right? Okay, so for Grandmaster, Mr. Toriyama Akira, thank you. Hey, thank you very much. Well, now we go back to the kind of the mainstream of the today event. Well, I really enjoyed together with my colleague, Judge colleague. We really enjoyed their reading and enjoying their artworks, manga works. Of course, it was a little bit hectic time to read 50 or 60 works very seriously. But this year's we accepted all the colorful. We started receiving the works with the color. So this is a really new, exciting experience for us. And of course, today, this year's theme was forward, and the various entrants construed, interpret that theme in various ways. That also really entertain us. So again, I fully appreciate your challenging attempt, and if those who are not gaining any prize and or who didn't send their works this year, please come back to the manga competition following years. Okay, and not last but least, well, I have to mention to the very generous sponsors who provided a lot of grant prizes, which probably we really encourage entrants to make extra effort to gaining them. Japanese Gallery Kensington and Selga.com, PFU, Rico UK, Japan Center, Self-Made Hero, Fanfare, Minamoto Kichoan, Daikin, and Manga Originals. Thank you very much for your generous support. Okay, now it's time for the manga battle. Manga battle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Okazaki. Now we have a special talk tonight, and I would like to invite Nigel Tumasi, co-founder of Mayamada, for a special talk about manga connection diversity. Please come up to the stage.
Okay, so I'm not going to be juggling. I didn't know that was an option, but maybe next time I'll remember. Well, I'll learn first and then remember. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. I'm gonna talk for a little bit. If you need to like kick me off the stage like they do in the Oscars, feel free. But otherwise, I'm just gonna keep talking until someone tells me to stop or I get to the end of the slides. So yeah, my name is Nigel. I'm the co-founder of the manga brand Mayamada, and I'm basically going to talk to you about my journey with manga over the years, how someone who is not from Japan and struggles with foreign languages anyway, manages to make something out of the manga medium. And I'll add in anime as well, just for ease as we go. So, like I said, that's me. You don't really need that photo because I'm right here, but just in case, just to reinforce the point. So yeah, I started a brand using storytelling through the manga medium. And like I said, I'm going to tell you a bit about my journey. But I'm the co-founder of Mayamada. Mayamada is a brand with our own universe of characters. And we basically come up with interesting and wacky ideas in that universe. Those are some of our books. I'll come back to that in a moment. But I'm going to take you back. So when I was younger, I didn't actually read much manga. And I know that's not the best way to start a talk about manga, but that's the truth. But I did watch a lot. And I wasn't fully aware of like manga and anime. like a lot of you in here, I feel like I've also interviewed like half the people in this room, but I've also heard the story of people who were watching things, didn't quite know what it was, but knew they were drawn to it. And I was a bit the same. I started with Transformers and then found my way to Dragon Ball Z. And yeah, I was drawn to it. And I think for me, when I started, I would actually have to go to the video store and pick up VHS tapes. And for the younger audiences, VHS is like physical medium that we used to have to go to the shop. And a shop is what you used to have to go to buy things before Amazon came around. But Dragon Ball Z was my first, I'd say, conscious awareness of manga and anime. And I watched this like sport. On a show of hands, the easiest question of the night, who was there watching Dragon Ball Z or reading? There we go. So you kind of know where this is going. So I would come after school or on the weekends and just watch these battles. I would watch Goku take on Frieza, then Cell, then Buu. And I was just hooked. And I feel like what the medium does is make that connection, because I would also remember watching, talking with friends about it, but then also finding new connections. So when I was younger, I would visit family in America, and I'd visit my uncle because he lived over there. It was a nice time. Then one time myself, my mum went over, and we had some new, I had some new cousins I didn't know. And despite my current situation, speaking in front of a lot of people, I'm quite introverted. So for me, it was quite a challenging prospect to like meet new people and have to get along with them. And I remember going, traveling over the same journey we had taken before, but this time there'd be like strangers in the building. And I remember going into my uncle's front room, and my cousin, Michelle, and Michael were on the couch watching Dragon Ball Z. And it was cool. It was good. I knew them. They knew me as well. And for those that sort of watch the series, you'll know it drags on a little bit. Let's be honest. Yeah, things that could take one episode stretched into maybe 5 or 6. So I actually appreciated when Future Trunks came in, because he came in on a schedule. Like he came in like he had dinner plans later, and I always appreciated that. He was my favorite character. But like I said, manga connects people, and that's why I was drawn to it, and that's why eventually I came to start a brand and a business that made use of the manga medium. And I'm going to talk to you about something that I feel us in the room all know. But if you allow me to preach to the choir a little bit, I just want to talk about why I feel manga kind of connects different people, and why people maybe outside of this room might not quite get it. But you can, you can join the journey with me. Also, are these people in the room? There you go, cool. All right, there we go. So this is myself, this is Lau, who I started the brand with, and this is us looking very serious as we were about to order food in Sri Lanka. So I'm not sure why, why we look so serious. But when I was younger, I would draw a lot. I wasn't great, but I would like to draw, come up with characters and stories. So my journey through early years, like I said, sort of getting into the medium, going down a different path. I have an engineering degree, but then coming back to building this brand from this medium. And both myself and Lau were very much into like Japanese culture, anime and manga. Him more so. He's the reason I'm kind of here. And we both went to Japan a very long time ago. And off the back of that, started this brand. And I feel my personal connection that I've seen through manga and anime is the diversity of storytelling. And for us as two people who have a lot of ideas, we have like arguably too many ideas, I found the breadth of storytelling, the diversity of like from very serious to absolutely insane stories, made a home for us to basically come up with our crazy ideas. So one of our stories, Samurai Chef, where a chef judges a food competition by attacking the food with his samurai sword, and then partway through, the food turns into monsters and starts fighting back. I've been asked a couple times what I was on when I made that story, and I have to reassure people that stone cold sober when I thought of that. But it fits, and I feel like that ability to come up with different ideas versus what I see, say, here in the West was just, yeah, it just made sense to us. So we went in that direction, and we created this brand. We created these characters, and it just felt right. And just because I'm in the Japanese embassy as well, I always have to feel I need to explain, like, our logo uses upside down Japanese kanji. It is intentional, because I've spoken to some Japanese people that have looked at me like I was the dumbest person in the room. So I just want to, just in case anyone here is thinking that is intentional, that is intentional. So our universe is a television network, and each of the comics that we make tell the story of a TV show. So when we noticed the Japanese kanji kai turned upside down, looks like a old school television. Again, kids, look it up on Google. But yeah, old school TV, we thought, yeah, that works. So we created this brand, and we were on our way. We kind of, I'll come back to that in a second. Yeah, we were on our way, and we made our first comic. We went to Comic-Con. We've been to places like Hyper Japan, and it's been a journey. And where that journey has taken me is to talk to people like those of us in this room who are in the medium. There are people here that I've spoken to, there are people here that I've worked with that all I feel know even more than I do, but really into the medium. But the journey has taken me to, I'm going to say outsiders. I'm going to use the term outsiders. So as well as the co-founder of Manga, I am also on the advisory committee for the Children's Media Conference. That's me last year at a conference in a session about meaningful content with children's media. And I basically become the anime and manga guy. So I was talking about the difference between anime and manga and how that connects with young people, people from different perspectives, different situations, and that diversity angle. What's interesting is when I go to places like this, I'll say something that I feel, again, like us in the room know, but I sound really insightful when I'm in this space. And it reminds me that people have misunderstood the medium, and I have a few reasons why, but it's really cool to go to places like this and explain to people why people like us connect so well with manga, and particularly young people as well. This is me also last year talking at a children's media conference in France. Again, like I said, I've become the anime and manga guy, explaining how some of the subjects of the medium, some of the characters, the storylines, just work so well for conveying different lessons, conveying different emotions. And then this is me, I'm also on the Mayor's Cultural Leadership Board. And interestingly, like, none of those people, no, actually one of those people are into anime and manga. I don't know if you can guess which one, but there's one person there. But again, being in the spaces where people who, in this case, either set policy or even produce content, but don't have that understanding of the medium. So wherever I go, I try and explain the things that I've learned from talking to people like yourselves and convey it to those who either create things or set policy around things that might impact what you see, what you read. And what I tell them is there's different angles to manga. So this is what I've picked up on my journey, and maybe some of these things will kind of resonate with you. So this is from the anime All You Need Is Kill, which is fantastic kind of manga. So, and one of the aspects of the medium that I feel connects so well is that very dynamic and kinetic visual style. It just hits like that. If anyone hasn't read that, it's a fantastic read. We've discussed it within our brand as well. But that high energy style just connects with the audience, and again, particularly that younger audience. And the one that really gets me is like the emotionally diverse characters. And what's interesting about like anime and manga is from a distance, and like I said, speaking to people who are at a distance, it can seem quite one note. This is what I've got from talking to people. But what they miss is the diversity of emotions, the characters and what they go through, and how that relates to people on different journeys, particularly young people. So if anyone's seen Gurren Lagann, it's fantastic anime, and it really spoke to me, just seeing a character who is like almost straddled with self-doubt and goes through like real grief. And at the time of watching that, I was also going through a period of grief, sort of losing my father around the same time, and seeing someone go through something that I was also going through, just connecting me. This is one of my favorite anime series as well. But again, that emotional diversity in characters and how it connects with the audience. What I find with anime and manga, which is really, really cool, is that the characters it puts forward as protagonists, as the main characters, are not often what you'd see in the West. So I like all the stuff from the MCU, but I don't identify with Captain America. Like, that doesn't feel like someone who feels like me. I've watched this series, Kuroko's Basketball, and seeing a character who is the main character, whose very kind of like selling point is his lack of presence, and I felt that on my journey. But his goal is to make others great, and I get that. So you see his journey, and you see him again self-doubt, but he shines through in his ability to work with others and make others better on their journey. So that makes sense. I feel, particularly if you're a young person, feeling that you're not the best, but stories like this still mean you have a place. And then tackling different subjects. And being particularly in the Children's Media Conference, I've learned this, where I'm in a room where people whose literal job it is to make children's media, but do it in a way that just misses the mark. So in speaking to young people, I've seen and watching a lot as well, Ghost in the Shell, like classic, Full Alchemist, classic, both examples of things that tackle difficult subjects. I mean, we're talking about like the meaning of life stuff, what is truth, like conspiracies, all that kind of thing. And if you think for your average media producer here, they might think these are topics too big for young minds to grasp, but it's not the case. It's just about the delivery. So I've seen, I was like just falling in love with Fullmetal Alchemist, and just the way the complexities of that story unfold episode after episode, but you could still follow it through the characters, through those two young characters. And it does this so well. It doesn't talk down to its audience, which I feel is something that people in certain spaces like miss. Sometimes they make things that are intended to teach a lesson versus making a very cool and engaging story that we can go on a journey with and learn those lessons along the way. How am I doing for time, by the way? Okay, cool. That's a sign to speed up. I usually get like, I just talk for ages, but, and again, stories with impact. So stories that you remember long after you finish reading them or watching them, because that's what I feel is the important thing about stories. Do you remember them after they're done? And I'll work my way to the end of this thing. So I also get to work with young people. Some of them are in this room. We do a lot of workshops. We do work experience. I talk to young creatives, people that are passionate about manga. And in one such session was a young kid who was, once I tell them I make manga, get very excited and want to tell me about their favorite manga. So this young boy tells me about this cool series called Dr. Stone. And because he was very young and I was effectively like in the teacher role, I didn't want to show too much emotion. But he told me about this story, about this world that everyone gets frozen, completely petrified, and they have to rebuild civilization through science. I like manga. I'm cool with science too. So that sounded great, but I didn't want to give him too much. The next day, he turns up with 2 copies, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Dr. Stone, and hands them over to me. And at that moment, I have to think to myself, am I going to steal this book from this 10-year-old? because he gave them to me and walked away. So as I wrestled with my conscience, I thought, no, let me give these back to him. But what I did do is go and watch this anime later and enjoyed it so much. And it's that thought of like someone who is 10, I think it was 10, 11, and someone who's deep into their 30s can enjoy the exact same story for different reasons. Well, I don't know, let me not undersell him. He might have got the same thing that I got out of it. But people from different generations can enjoy the same story. And I don't feel that's necessarily the case with other mediums. So I'll... obviously, we've talked about Dragon Ball Z, and I can't go any further without sort of mentioning Akira Toriyama, who, was a big part in terms of my life and how I got into the medium and how I ended up creating my own stories with the medium. And thinking about the theme for today, like forward, as I was putting this talk together, thinking about what does it mean to me. And of the many definitions I pulled out is this idea of onwards so as to make progress. And for me, that means progress in terms of personal development and how I can tell better stories, but also progress in the medium so that other people who are also outside of Japan can gain a better understanding of what manga and anime does so well and how it can connect with others. So I'll end with this, where I think this was 2019, going to the British Museum, the manga exhibition. Fantastic, spent the whole day there. This really stuck with me, and it's stuck with me ever since, really. This Tetsuya Chiba, who's known for like sports anime that really grabbed the personal journey, personal struggle in those stories. But he said, you don't want people to read your manga, you want them to feel it. And every story I make, I try and think about, I may not be the absolute best storyteller. Who knows? History will judge. We'll see. I mean, I'm not here, so that's something. But always want to make stories that people will feel, that they'll remember, that they'll take with them, as I've taken so many of the stories that I've consumed so far. So I'll leave you with that quote and that concept to keep telling interesting, engaging stories, so that maybe one day some all too trusting 10-year-old can give an adult in the room a chance to steal your comics. That's the goal. That's the goal. But thank you very much.
Thank you. That was inspiring. You should all go and check Mayamada Station right there. They will be here until the end of the evening, so do go and check them out. And now, well, the excitement is high. This is the time you were all waiting for, the announcement of the winners for this year's competition. Are we ready? All right. The first prize for this
Dan
evening
from mangaoriginals.co.uk
is the Yonkoma
on our website.
prize, and it is sponsored by Manga Original. And yeah, let's watch.
We sell a wide range of original manga art, paintings, sketches, and anime cells. Tonight, I'm here to present the prize for the Yonkoma Youth category of the 2023 Manga Jiman Awards. Originally published in 1981 in Korokoro Comics, Tamui Shinma by Hatenoji Yasuhiko is a great little gag manga about a caveman and his friends. Here's the prize. Congratulations to our lucky winner. You can also find Yasuhiko's work on YouTube, where he's still an active artist to this day.
My name's Cornelius Brandreth. With a new prospect of colour, I was eager to incorporate it into my story this year. To start, I first created a small palette of colours I was eager to use in my story. After that, I made a character profile sheet for each of my characters. Although only a couple, they still carried just as much personality. Unlike last year, when I heard what the theme was, an idea didn't just pop into my head. I needed to think. After a while, I came across the idea of a Japanese chef who cuts a watermelon. This related to the theme of Forward, as our main character cuts forward through the watermelon and moves on in his culinary adventure. What tends to influence my work is my art teacher and, of course, my nanny, my grandmother, who's a big fan of art. She's taken me to several exhibitions. Also, I really find some friendly competitiveness with my friends helps a lot. Imagine, draw, create.
Well, this is the second time he's winning this prize, so that's amazing. Is attending on his behalf today. So if you can come up to the stage to take the prize. Yeah, we have Dan Byron from Manga Original today, so he will present the prize.
Very welcome.
Moving on to the Yonkoma 14 Plus prize. The Yonkoma 14 Plus prize. Oh, sorry. The judge's comment. I'm so sorry. Sorry. Kubo-san, please come up to the stage to give your comments.
Good evening. Who are you? I think there are probably some people who think that Yonkoma is simple because there are only 4 panels. Maybe some of you think it's easy to make such a short piece. Of course, it may take less physical time than an 8-page work, but some technique is required. You have to complete one whole story in just 4 panels. It isn't enough to just be the start of a story. It needs to take us on the whole journey. The story must not just end, but must follow Kisho Tenketsu. In other words, a beginning, then development, and twist, and finally the conclusion. The twist is particularly difficult. It needs to be unexpected. Also, the dialogue and text within this limited number of panels should not have too many words. There are only 4 panels, but since there are only 4, it is very difficult. The winning story is a work that is the model of such a 4-panel story. There are not too many words, an interesting twist, and it is very easy to read. Congratulations.
And now, moving on to the Yonkoma 14 Plus prize. The Yonkoma 14 Plus Prize is sponsored by the Japanese Gallery Kensington, who picked a special gift for our winner. Let's see who the winner is.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Started as a shonen manga in 1996 before being adapted into an anime and then a card game. Its incorporation of an original card game into the plot made it a hit not only with the anime and manga community but also with the gaming community. It was named the best-selling trading card game of 2011 and remains one of the most popular card games in the world. This poster features the main character Yugi and his battle partners. Legend has it that 5,000 years ago an ancient Egyptian pharaoh played a magical game very similar to the Duel Monsters. Yugi's grandfather gives him an ancient Egyptian riddle. In solving it, Yugi becomes a host to a mysterious spirit. They work together to make Yugi a stronger duelist to eventually defeat his rivals and save his grandfather and his friends. We are honored to present this award on this special occasion 25 years after the adaptation of the card game and 2 years after the passing of the original author, Kazuki Takahashi.
Tammy Richards, Summer Holiday. Outside of comics, films, art, and everyday life influence my work. Silent films are especially an inspiration for my comics, as I like telling stories without dialogue. Coloring was the most fun. The biggest challenge was coming up with the idea. The idea of looking forward to something nice, which unfortunately doesn't meet expectations. I had previously made a sketch of a character eating ice cream in the rain, which became the basis for this short comic. This is my third time taking part in the Manga Jiman competition and my first time making the shortlist. Even when you don't win, it is very satisfying having made a short comic, and it's something to be proud of. I recommend everyone who enjoys storytelling to take part in Manga Jiman.
Come tonight, but Kubo-san will say a few words about her entry.
Hi again. This work is beautifully illustrated and looks like a picture book. And the character design is also cute. I can say kawaii. You know this word already. I said there shouldn't be too many words, but this one doesn't have any words. But I can see what is going on. It is wonderful. Congratulations.
From the Japanese gallery, please come to the stage to show us the prize.
This is the prize.
Thank you. We're surely going to send it to Tom. Great. So now we're moving on to Manga Jiman. And for our 10th place, we have a very, very special gift from Funfair. It is both books and a really cool t-shirt.
my name is Damien Trigo, and I made The Weight of a Purpose. I'm almost always reading manga. I think nothing is off the table when it comes to like informing your job, especially in manga, coming up with the stories and using it as an inspiration for either your arts, your your storytelling, or the themes in your story. So anything. So my main character, he has basically given up on everything after losing everyone around him and has stopped looking forward and has become stagnant in his currents. But the other character basically convinced him to keep going and perhaps find a reason to keep going on, to keep moving forward. If you just want to make something, just do it. Don't think too much about it. I see many people struggling to just start because they want to go through the right process and start researching a lot on how to make manga without actually starting to make one. In my opinion, you should just make one. Just start. Don't think too much about the technicalities and the correct methods and the theory. After you've done that one, you can think back on it so you can make the next one better.
Stage to take your prize. We're moving on to the ninth. T-shirts. Let's see who is the winner.
All systems go. Luis Emmanuel de Vera. I'm a graphic designer by professions. I like good brand design and posters. So usually if I'm out shopping, I'd like pick up something and just study the packaging, or I'll be just staring on a really nice poster. So I got the idea being a parent basically. So it amazed me how we have to learn everything from scratch, like picking up food, walking, even nodding our head. So I always observe my kids when they were still growing up, because they're still growing up, and it amazed me how they pick up stuff from us, how they learn. And I've started rewatching some of the old shows I used to watch back when I was a kid, like A Secret of Blue Water. So I was rewatching it with my kid, and it's like, oh, that both concepts like collided in my mind when I saw the theme forward. Like I want to do something about walking, so I had this idea of, oh, why not? There's something like in the kid's brain or the baby's brain, like something triggering him or her to start walking.
Oh.
Oh.
That's the inspiration for. We're moving to the 8th place of Manga Jiman. And the 8th place, sponsored by the Fantastic Panther. Are you ready to know who is the winner? And the winner is
Ayaba Banks, River of Time. When I was a child, there was a shoujo manga magazine called Nakayoshi. I often begged my father to buy it for me. Since then, I have loved manga. I thought, let's draw something that I've always been interested in. So I decided to write about Murasaki Shikibu. I spent a lot of time practicing Japanese calligraphy, and this influences the manga that I wrote. Murasaki Shikibu overcame her sadness and became a writer moving forward in her life. And woman played an outstanding role in the Heian period when society was overwhelmingly patriarchal, progressing women's rights and humanity's future moving from our current world to populate other planets. For now on, I would like to live a long life like Hokusai and continue painting until I die. I also would like to contribute more to society.
Moving on to the 7th place of Manga Jiman. It gets a sweet box sponsored by Minamoto Kichon. Oh. Let's discover who the winner is.
My name is Hayley Jennings, and the title of my entry is Free Time. When I start coming up with an idea for a story, I tend to just do a sort of mind map. I see how far I can take the word in each direction. And when I landed on forward is in time moving forward, it reminded me how I've been learning to draw the object head kind of character. Body is normal, so it's an inanimate object for the head. And then I started wondering, well, when time goes forward, when the clocks move forward, what happens to that hour? And the idea just kind of snowballed from there of what happened if someone was to experience this hour that is supposedly missing. I just thought all the timepieces of the world just kind of get together for a little party, and it would just be nice for someone to get to experience that. And the idea just kind of went from there. I had like 2 different like A3 size canvases on my computer just filled with pictures of clocks and watches that I found on Google for inspiration and such. And of course, with every clock you draw, you have to have the perspective on the clocks. I tried to make sure that all the watch faces and all the hands on the clocks were all consistent with where in the story they would be. So I had to think, okay, how long would it take them to go downstairs? How would it take for them to go to the front of the house? So everything I was like thinking minute wise, how long do they have? And trying to keep that consistency was a lot trickier than I thought it would be, honestly.
Please come to the stage with the little flower. From Minamoto Kichon here, if you can come to the stage too. Next, we have our 6th place of Manga Jiman. And the 6th place prize is also sponsored by the great Minamoto Kichon. So the winner will get also a sweet box. And the winner is...
My name is Manuel Nana, and my comic manga is called Chi-Chi. I'm working on a kind of a dead-end part-time job, but I'm looking for a way to like move past that. And I was thinking about that quite seriously just at the end of last year. And a part of that for me is that I'm looking into like other career options and just what I want to do with my life. And I was thinking, and when I found out about this contest, I was thinking maybe I can do something kind of like that for this comic. Just have this character in not exactly my situation, but something a bit inspired by it. I can change things up a bit, like make this whole character around it. And I thought that I could do something really interesting with that. I guess it was rewarding because like as things were coming together, it just like it felt like I was doing something that I was like very much proud of. Like as the processes come, not just when the finishes pages, but when the sketches are done, when the designs, when I have something that I can look at, I really just like being able to appreciate that. I like hearing and hearing about other people's stories and the things that they went through their life. I think like my mother, she was an immigrant from Nigeria, and whenever she talks about like her experiences from way back then, it's just a lot different from like how I lived my life, especially because I grew up here in London, and I feel like I think everyone has a story, you know, the story of their life, and because it's so vastly different from everyone else, often can really make really unique. Like I think it can make for a lot of really unique and inspired art.
Moving on to the fifth place. Purifier, kindly gifted to us by Daikin.
My name is Riyad, and my entry for this year's Manga Jiman competition is Healed Wounds. When I first found out about the competition, there was only 8 days left till the deadline, but I'd never entered a manga competition before, and I was too excited just to move on and not participate. Responding to the brief forward, I wanted my character to move forwards both physically and spiritually. I thought someone who got over conflict in a wartime setting would be an excellent way to do this. My protagonist had been stuck in a place of conflict and trauma, but we meet him as an older man, when in order to move forward, he needs to find and make reconciliation with a man from his past. Despite being an enemy on the battlefield, this man saved our protagonist when he was at his worst. By meeting him and saying thank you, he's able to move forward and find peace in his life. Along with mentally moving forwards, the protagonist moves forwards towards his old saviour's house, while narrating the story. You might notice the very traditional Japanese house that the protagonist's saviour lives in is surrounded by British scenery, and this is for two reasons. First, by making it geographically non-specific, I hope to make it universally relatable story. And second, I really like old Japanese architecture.
To join and present the prize. So, whoa. As Red is only 15, he got another prize. We have a special category for the best youngest entrant. So Riyad also won Manga Shakespeare for the Best Youth Prize, sponsored by Self-Made Heroes. Well done. Our next prize, the fourth place, is actually also two prizes. One is a voucher that you can use at Japan Center, which is here in London. And the other one is a sweet box from Minamoto Kitchen. Let's discover who the winner is.
Emmanuel Oja. Or would I go to a peaceful new world? Growing up, I spent a lot of time in kind of libraries, reading a lot of manga. As my mother is a librarian, so I spent a lot of time kind of going from library to library, looking at different genres of manga, different stories. And I think growing up, I was very kind of drawn to shonen manga. So things like One Piece, Dragon Ball, Naruto. I think these are the ones that have kind of had a big influence on the work that I create. I enjoy kind of the fun and comedic nature that shonen has, but it also has the potential to be quite serious. So I think I try to take both of those and put it into the story that we've created.
And just learn about people, the whole psychological aspect of people. That is a big part, it's a big part of, my story writing as well, when it comes to understanding people. How would someone feel if I did this or if this happened, right? So I would say the psychological aspect of people is a big influence on my work. Yeah, so this story is the more happy version of an original we came up with. Because the original one I was told was a bit too dark and, it would probably fit a movie. So I had to kind of dilute it. So this is like if I divided it by like 4, this is basically that one and made it a bit more happier. But yes, that's the real way how this, this was created. About 5 minutes, I was able to basically craft the base of the story. Like, okay, power, maybe we should have to do something with, advancing something forward in time. And maybe, there's a conflict where, the only way to get past it is to move forward from the situation.
But when I think about manga and the manga that we grew up on, most of it was black and white. So I feel like I wanted to stay true to that. Manga to me traditionally has always been black and white. But since we were given the kind of ability to use color, I wanted to put a hint of that. I think we did it in a very smart way in which it doesn't overtake like that traditional sense, but it just kind of adds a bit of storytelling.
When the color is there, meaning she has her useful power, everything goes wrong. But when finally it's run out and it's empty, all of a sudden things work out. His real name, which everyone calls him, is Shonen. Because, when I first met him, he was the one that had manga books, right? I think, yeah.
I would say with Kamex, when it comes to kind of vision and storytelling and even kind of motivation, I can't think of anyone better that I could have worked with.
Minamoto Kitchen, if you can also come to the stage to give the prizes. Okay, we are on to the top 3. That's exciting. Yeah. Third prize is set by Record UK. That's a new prize for us. And in third place, we have
I'm Rachel Yelding, and my entry is called Stay Forward. I mean, I normally do quite cute comics, and I use full color pastel palette. But I remember that the Manga Jiman usually uses grayscale, and I was like, what can I do that will work well in my grayscale style? And I thought horror, because I use quite contrasting blacks and whites normally. And then I saw that you could use color, and I was like, oh. I'm going to see if I can do a horror comic using colors, because that was actually a new challenge for me. And it's inspired by my love of like lost media. I think that's quite a new internet era sort of concept. The idea of lost media lurking around the internet and the idea that it might be cursed. I love those sort of stories, but there aren't many. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make my own. And it's also inspired by the fact there isn't much Romany folklore around, because I'm half Romany. And I thought, okay, I'm going to see if I can make a scary Romany story as well, sort of combine my two loves. The idea that I could actually then do a scary comic was quite fun. See how scary I could make it, but like it not be like offensive to anybody, because I knew that it was going to be on display and anybody could see it. My screenplays can be a bit gory, so I thought it was a bit of a fun challenge to see if I could make something scary and not be gory.
We have Maya here, our judge, to give the comments.
So I just wanted to start by saying congratulations to everyone here tonight. Thank you so much for participating in this competition. We judges really look forward to it every year. And this year I was personally and professionally very much inspired by the level of creativity of the entrants. And your courage to share your work and your creativity really deserves to be celebrated, no matter what the result is. Ooh, sorry, could you not hear me before? I'll move on to the prize itself. So our third prize entry for this year's Manga Jiman competition was a colorful, as you saw, standout work of art and storytelling with a wonderfully spooky edge and a fantastic style. This artist had a beautifully limited color palette that was not only sophisticated and elevated, but effective in reinforcing the wonderfully spooky and scary atmosphere of the story, really setting the tone and scene perfectly. The story had a pace that felt cinematographic and was accompanied by some really nice use of screen tones and typography. This was a horror comic about a cursed film where the victim of the curse had to keep moving forward, because if they didn't, a deadly monster would catch them. The only way to stop the monster from getting too close was to move forward the film onto another poor victim. We were really impressed by the style, the great draftsmanship, the smooth storytelling, and pleasantly surprised by the interpretation of this year's theme. So congratulations to Rachel for writing Stay Forward.
So we have only 2 to go. Next is second place. And in second place, we have a very special prize. high-tech keyboard kindly gifted by PFU Ltd. Let's see who is the winner in second place this year.
My name is Louis Hay, and the title of my comic is My Mum. Like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. From when I was really, really young, I just started reading manga, just sort of learn how to read. I love just the storytelling element of everything involved and how natural it comes across. I'm no stranger to losing family members. You know, the journey that you kind of have to go on within the process of grieving is very, very tough. I think writing a story, about that, or about like my personal process of moving, forward in that regard was, I suppose, really helped me out personally. But it was also nice to sort of actually express it in a creative way. Draw. Just gotta keep drawing. Never stop drawing.
No. Shall I come down there? Yeah, all right. Louis Hay, My Mum. Moving forward, his own note on his entry, moving forward in the process of grieving for a loved one. 26 years old. My own judge's comments at the time. Good style, original, always very important, and clear, equally important. Big ears. We'll see when he comes up. I don't know. First time entrant, 6 in the top 10 first time entrants. I think that's really significant and really something. Simple and straightforward, attractive. Always important to attract a reader and then keep your reader. All of that is much harder than it looks and shows experience as well as good, I would say great actually, graphic design skills. This guy knows design. Hand-drawn aesthetic, I believe that's hand-drawn and then scanned in by the look of it, but he'll let me know if not. Bold lettering, pop art tones, deceptively effortless storytelling, including flashback, but the reader stays in the flow. The message is universal and needs to be relearned every day. How to deal with grief and loss. Open up and let it out. And like he said, draw, and draw. Amen.
From PFU Ltd, who will present the prize. Congratulations.
Who won?
Who won? Wow. And now, well, our first place.
My name is Edward Taylor, and my story is called St. Jerome 2-0. We went to see an exhibition of Albrecht Dürer's woodcuts and engravings in Manchester, and there's a couple of engravings of St. Jerome in the wilderness, and he's accompanied by a lion with a rather human-looking face. It touched certain autobiographical moments in me, because so I thought there's a man in the wilderness accompanied by I decided to make it a cat. It's two voices talking about a situation, and one is quite earnest and opinionated, and the other one is quite sarcastic and undercutting. We use QR codes. One of them is my voice. The cat that follows you around, don't trust it. We haven't completed all our tests, but we're 98% sure it isn't real. It's AI. One of them is my partner's voice.
If you want to throw money at a scheme which won't change anything, please press 3.
And the song is a friend of ours who's worked with my company, who's a singer based in Yorkshire.
It's dark, it's light, it's shadowy, it's bright. Maybe let's switch off all the lamps.
I find the form of poetry very inspiring, just that the concision of words, or in comics it would be pictures, but also the text as well, and also the use of repetition and how a form can bring out ideas, how your ideas and the form you're doing it in affect each other. I find that very interesting.
Please come to the stage. We have Paul to give you comments on your entry.
Okay, good. Oh dear, it's a bit wonky. Hello. Well, what a fantastically surprising prize winner, I think, for many of you, and I'm hoping for Edward too. He's done the first time entry and a first time winner. That doesn't happen very often. So, yeah, if you're out there watching this and you haven't entered Manga Jiman, you could be a first-time entry next year, and you might win, or even come second. So, just a bit of context here. I know Edward Taylor's work already a little bit, and I was so impressed when he came through to the judging process. And I thought, well, I better keep quiet. I just said, let's wait and see what other people think, because this is not what you might be thinking is typical manga. And that's because we need to remember that the word manga in English, to us here, basically means comics that are either made in Japan or very influenced by the Japanese style and techniques and the looks that we've seen in many of the winners this evening. But as you probably know, in Japan itself, the word manga has a long, complicated history. But even today, it just means cartoons and comics. It means basically comics from anywhere and everywhere. And as you may also know, there is an extraordinary range of styles and approaches to comics in Japan that covers every possible style, including, in fact, the kind of very original and surreal and haunting and strange comics that Edward has made for this entry. And this story really struck everybody. I would point out, by the way, that we've never seen QR codes in a comic before. Don't all do it next year, because it's... But it was very innovative. And also, you might not notice, but actually we looked closely, and all of those incredible kind of backdrops of kind of clutter and all the detritus of a post-apocalyptic world, they're all drawn. There's no repeats. They're not like I can paste this in again, or he's drawn every panel. And we loved the fact that it is surreal, that it plays with the use of the techniques, the panels you might find. If you read the comic, you'll see on one panel, the cat follows him around, makes a circle around the page. It's a very inventive comic and an original one and a visionary one, and one that in many ways seems to tap into something that we're living through right now, the question of what is our future going to be? How are we all going to move forward on this planet? In many ways, we're all St. Jerome's with a cat, perhaps, to advise us. So congratulations to Edward. I'm so glad you've won, and tremendous achievement. Come on down. Just stay up there, because you're going to get your prize.
Yeah, that's great. The Japanese gallery has specially chosen a beautiful print. So let's have a look.
This print is based on a true story, one of anger and vengeance, known as Kameyama no Adauchi, or Revenge at Kameyama. One day in 1673 at Osaka Castle, a samurai warrior, Masaharu, gave his apprentice, Gen Goemon, the opportunity to spar with him. Gen Goemon was beaten and filled with rage and shame, slayed Masaharu and stole his katana. Masaharu's two eldest sons embarked on a quest of vengeance. The eldest son was brought down by Gen Goemon, while the second son perished in a shipwreck. It was only when Masaharu's two younger sons matured that their father was avenged and Gen Goemon defeated. 28 years later, the katana is returned. Known as the Genroku Soga, the narrative gained enormous popularity during the Edo period, inspiring kabuki plays and woodblock prints like this one. In this scene, we can see Gen Goemon attacking Masaharu's eldest son. So, if I may take a brief moment, I'm in the very fortunate position of always getting notified by what the judges say and who the eventual winner is. So, I'm able to be selective and choose the items that I think suits the winner and their passion, and what will continue to let them grow and carry on producing works of art. And the reason why I say manga and anime, I view it as a work of art in the same way that during the Edo period, you didn't have 4 captions to tell the story, it was one image. And this was their way of telling the story. Furthermore, whilst we've got everyone here, I think some of you might know who I am as far as Japanese gallery is concerned. We cover traditional works of art, slightly more contemporary in the way of manga and anime. But for me, this platform here today, with the support of the judges, the Japanese MC, as well as those who participate, I'm actually able to support the future. So thank you very much.
Can you stay on stage for a second?
I think you have to stay there. Pardon?
Can you come back to the stage?
Come up on the stage, I think. Not like what's happening next, but maybe another photograph.
Right, okay. Should I carry that as well?
Yes.
Yeah, you should, definitely.
As the official winner's prize. Natural.
We would just like to know how...
Right, do we want a speech?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I have to say this is kind of the best surprise I've had for a long time, in that I was completely surprised by it, and it came at the right time. So I'd like to thank the judges for allowing me to make this speech. I'd like to thank the gallery for this splendid print. And just I'd like to thank my long-time partner, long-suffering partner, Sue, who's supported me in all this work. And she also did the QR codes as well, the difficult bit. So I'd like to thank her. And I'd also like to thank a friend of ours, Sonia Moorhead, who generously allowed her song to be used in the story. Because
the story, you not only read it, but you can hear it as well if you use the QR coding on your phone. So that's all I have to say, I think. Thank you. Thank you very much. They're pointing this way, so I think I'll take their advice. And thank you.
So before we are concluding this evening and hop up to the reception back at the back, we would like to extend our deep appreciation to our great supporters from the Japanese Gallery Kensington, Manga Original, Self-Made Hero, Fanfare, Japan Center, Minamoto Kitchen, Daikin, Rico UK, PFU Ltd, and of course our amazing judges, Paul, Maya, Kubo-san, and Ilya. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming here tonight. Thank you also to Maya Mada for the great talk, and you can all check out their station there after we finish. Just a reminder that we have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so please follow us there. And most importantly, the Manga Jiman exhibition will be on display at the beginning of April, so do follow up on our social media to see all the details there. Thank you so much to Mark, who did everything here, basically. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Right.